This world always holds unknowns that have yet to find an answer. There is an invisible covenant between humans and time. When the clock hands across this entire planet simultaneously skip past the final second to enter the year 2026, people in a misty highland region in the Horn of Africa are only going through the first months of 2019. This is no mere rhetorical device. It is a reality. Your ears do not deceive you. Nor has the world forgotten them. It is simply that they, the children of Ethiopia, have chosen to reject the definition of time kept by the rest of the world. The only sanctuary in Africa never to be fully assimilated. A place where anomalies are not just wild tales confined to pages of lore. Join us as we journey to Ethiopia, another planet, hidden in plain sight right here on Earth. An isolated island, defying both time and prejudice. Ethiopia is an entirely different planet, hidden in plain sight right here on Earth. When you hear the name Ethiopia, what is the first image that drifts into your mind? A barren land ravaged by drought? Starving children with bewildered eyes, captured in the faded relief footage of the last century? If that is all you know, then the world owes this East African nation its most profound apology. For hidden behind the veil of modern media prejudice lies a reality that is entirely antithetical. Ethiopia is no wasteland. It is a unique, peerless, isolated island. An island bounded not by oceans, but sheltered by towering mountain ranges that stand like impenetrable fortress walls. This is an oasis of faith, of a history forged in fierce independence, and a place where time itself seems to govern by a clock completely detached from the rest of humanity. The first anomaly that greets you upon setting foot in Ethiopia is not the landscape, but a profound distortion of time. While the rest of the world lives in the 21st century, crossing the threshold into 2026, the people of Ethiopia only recently welcomed the new year of 2019. Indeed, they lag behind the international calendar by approximately 7 to 8 years. Why does this anomaly exist? While most of the world adopted the Gregorian calendar, instituted by the Pope in 1582, Ethiopia steadfastly clung to the ancient Coptic calendar of the Egyptians. For them, time is a sacred construct, one that refuses to be assimilated. The moment you set foot here, the smartwatch on your wrist falls into confusion. In Ethiopia, a year does not consist of 12 months, but 13. This 13th month, named Pagume, lasts a mere 5 or 6 days. A deliberate pause granted by creation, allowing humanity a brief moment to reflect upon the cycle of life and death. Even the birth of a new day upends every global convention. While the rest of the world marks the dawn of a day at midnight, enveloped in darkness, the Ethiopian day begins at hour zero with the sunrise, when the first light genuinely touches the skin. To them, light is the true catalyst of life, not the sterile numbers flashing on a digital screen. This divergence is not a sign of backwardness. It is a profound testament to a truth. Ethiopia does not follow the world. They possess their own time zone, their own rhythm of life, and a deep-seated national pride that fiercely defies the rushing currents of globalization. A legacy of historic pride, as the sole African nation never to be fully colonized, they have preserved their cultural identity, religious heritage, and ancestral languages completely intact across millennia. In the 19th century, a tempest known as the Scramble for Africa swept across the continent. European empires, wielding advanced weaponry, partitioned and subjugated nearly the entirety of Africa.
Near the border of Ethiopia and Italian Somalia, Italy's honor had been violated.
Yet one land stood resolute, an unyielding island amidst a roaring sea of colonial conquest. That land was Ethiopia. In 1896, the Italian Empire deployed its elite forces to invade Ethiopia, confident they would easily subjugate the nation. But they were gravely mistaken. In the valley of Adwa, under the brilliant leadership of Emperor Menelik II and Empress Taitu Batal, tens of thousands of Ethiopian warriors from diverse tribes rose up as one. Armed with unparalleled courage and masterful tactics, they dealt the Italian army the most humiliating defeat in the history of European colonialism in Africa. The victory at Adwa did more than just safeguard Ethiopia's independence. It transformed this nation into a beacon of hope for Black people across the globe. Ethiopia's tricolor flag, green, gold, and red, would later become the blueprint and inspiration for the national flags of countless African nations as they broke the shackles of colonialism to claim their own independence. The cradle of humanity, the very place where the oldest human fossils, dating back over 3 million years, were unearthed. Yet Ethiopia's isolation is further insulated by a profound spiritual depth. While East Africa is often associated with indigenous religions or Islam, Ethiopia stands as one of the oldest Christian nations on earth, tracing its faith back to the 4th century AD. Amidst the rugged peaks of Lalibela, an architectural marvel was forged, defying the boundaries of human imagination. Churches carved from monolithic rock. Rather than being built upward with brick and mortar, ancient Ethiopians chiseled directly into giant volcanic boulders, tunneling deep into the earth to sculpt magnificent cathedrals. To this day, precisely how they achieved such flawless measurements and immaculate craftsmanship remains an unsolved mystery. Furthermore, according to Ethiopian tradition, they are the guardians of the original Ark of the Covenant of God, preserved within the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Axum. This fusion of myth, unyielding faith, and millennia-old heritage has enveloped Ethiopia in a sacred, serene atmosphere, entirely sequestered from the chaotic hustle of the modern world outside. Lands of sheer extremes, where topography and climate clash in violent opposition. The Danakil Depression, a living hell on Earth. If there is a place on Earth that could make you believe you have stumbled onto an alien planet, or perhaps just set foot at the very gates of hell, it is the Danakil Depression. Situated in northern Ethiopia, within the Afar Triangle, Danakil is not for the faint of heart. Sitting more than 100 meters below sea level, it is one of the hottest, most arid, and most inhospitable places on the planet, where temperatures routinely surge past 50 degrees Celsius. Everywhere, simmering acid lakes, geysers thick with the stench of sulfur, and endless sprawling salt flats dominate the vista. Danakil resembles an open wound on the Earth, a place where the planetary crust is so frighteningly thin that magma and toxic gases are constantly poised to erupt. At the heart of this depression lies Dalal, a volcanic landscape of surreal yet deceptive beauty. From afar, Dalal resembles the vibrant palette of a master painter. washed in neon yellow, emerald green, burnt orange, and snow white. But do not let this magnificent kaleidoscope of colors deceive you. Those shimmering turquoise waters are actually lakes of concentrated sulfuric acid. The vibrant yellow is pure, unadulterated sulfur, and the air is heavy with toxic gas, resembling the stench of rotten eggs, poised to sear the lungs of anyone who dares breathe it without protection. Here, water does not sustain life. Water is the executioner. Dalol stands as an extreme testament of nature, proof that beauty can sometimes coexist with the most ruthless destruction. Leaving behind the deadly acid lakes, the journey into the abyss continues, guiding us toward Erta Ale, the most active volcano in Ethiopia. In the native tongue, Erta Ale translates to the smoking mountain. This is one of the very few places on Earth that harbors a persistent lava lake. Standing on the rim of the caldera at night, you can hear the deep rumble of the underworld. Witnessing waves of glowing molten magma surge and crash, the intense heat radiates upward, illuminating the pitch-black night sky. Erta Ale serves as a powerful reminder that our Earth is still a living entity, one filled with fury and supreme power. Inhospitable as it is, dangerous as it may be, this hell on Earth has never been entirely devoid of life. For centuries, the people of the Afar tribe have inhabited this land, calling Danakil their home. Defying the scorching heat, they harvest white gold, the natural salt blocks formed upon the Earth's surface. Beneath the blistering, relentless sun, they chisel, carry, and load the salt onto camel caravans, embarking on multi-day treks across the arid expanse to sell their yield. The resilience of the Afar people serves as the ultimate piece of the puzzle, transforming Danakil from a mere geological wonder into a grand epic of human survival. The Danakil Depression, a realm where the boundaries between life and death, between absolute beauty and relentless cruelty, are entirely blurred. A true hell on Earth, yet a peerless masterpiece forged by our planet to defy every known human limit. The Simian Mountains, a natural fortress. If the Danakil Depression is the embodiment of hell, then the Simian Mountains are the proud paradise of Ethiopia. Known as the Natural Fortress or the Roof of Africa, Simian is a geological masterpiece, sculpted by millions of years of fierce natural erosion. Here, a world unfolds of sheer vertical cliffs, soaring thousands of meters high, plunging valleys that drop into the abyss, and jagged, needle-sharp peaks that defiantly pierce the sky. Throughout the crucible of history, it was this treacherous terrain that forged Simian into an impenetrable fortress, shielding the independence and sacred faith of the Ethiopian people against all foreign invasions from the outside world. Yet, these fortresses are far from desolate. Within those imposing stone walls thrives a one-of-a-kind ecosystem. This is a sanctuary for creatures found nowhere else on Earth. From troops of Galata monkeys with their fiery blood-red chests, to the Ethiopian wolf, the rarest canid on the planet, and the proud Walia ibex, confidently striding along the sheer edges of the abyss. Standing before Ras Dashen, the highest peak in Ethiopia, one is instantly humbled by the sheer grandeur of creation. The Simeon Mountains are more than just a breathtaking landmark. They stand as an enduring symbol of this East African nation's unyielding, proud, and timeless spirit. A fortress of stone, safeguarding the very soul of a legendary land. Lake Abe and the limestone chimneys. Straddling the border between Ethiopia and Djibouti, Lake Abe materializes as a landscape completely alien to this earth. It is no wonder this desolate basin was chosen as the backdrop for the classic sci-fi film Planet of the Apes. Here, amidst a barren and forsaken wilderness, hundreds of colossal limestone chimneys rise defiantly like a petrified forest, carving out a haunting, solitary, and profoundly surreal beauty. These bizarre structures, soaring up to 50 meters high, are actually the result of a unique geological phenomenon. Lake Abe sits directly atop a triple junction where three tectonic plates are tearing apart from one another. Over millennia, subterranean thermal waters laden with calcium carbonate surged from deep within the earth. Upon striking the cold lake water, they crystallized and hardened, stacking layer upon layer to forge these natural chimneys. From the summits of these stone pillars, steam and sulfurous gases continuously billow forth, as if the earth itself were exhaling. Yet, in the heart of this sulfur-choked ghost town, life still finds a way to flourish. Flocks of vibrant pink flamingos gracefully gather here, dancing upon the mineral-rich waters of the lake. Lake Abe is a place where nature displays its creative power in an extreme, yet utterly mesmerizing fashion. As the sun sinks behind the stone spires, the landscape plunges into absolute silence. It is a primitive, isolated world where time itself seems to stand still beside limestone chimneys that defiantly endure the harshness of the East African wild. There are lands where history is not inscribed upon pages of paper, but carved directly into the very marrow of the mountains. Upon setting foot in the remote highlands of Ethiopia, you will awaken to a staggering truth. Faith in this place is no mere prayer drifting away on the wind. Here, faith has form. It has weight. It clings tightly to the sheer cliffs, enduring across millennia. While most of the world's civilizations erected temples and cathedrals by stacking bricks and raising stone pillars toward the heavens, the ancients of Ethiopia chose a radically opposite path. They journeyed deep into the subterranean realm. They chiseled, carved, and hollowed out monolithic volcanic rocks to sculpt architectural masterpieces found nowhere else on the planet. We are speaking of Lalibela, the place revered as the New Jerusalem of Africa. In the 12th century, King Lalibela received a divine vision from God, urging him to build a sanctuary that could shelter Christian pilgrims. From a single, uninterrupted bedrock, without a single brick, without a drop of mortar, genius craftsmen, aided by angels in the dead of night according to legend, chiseled 11 monolithic churches into existence. These were no rudimentary caves, but fully realized architectural marvels, complete with pillars, domes, windows, and intricately carved relief sculptures. All lay hidden beneath the earth, humbling in their posture, yet supreme in their power. Yet, Lalibela is not the final frontier of devotion. To truly understand what it means for faith to cling to the sheer cliffs, we must venture north to the Tigray region. Here, the churches do not lie buried beneath the earth. Instead, they hang precariously upon peaks that pierce the very heavens. Look no further than Abuna Yamatagu, revered as the most dangerous church in the world. Perched nearly 2,600 meters above sea level, this sanctuary was carved directly into a cavern at the very peak of a mountain spire. To reach this sacred ground, pilgrims and monks have no path to follow. They must climb free solo, gripping tiny rock crevices with their bare hands and naked feet, while a sheer, hundreds of meters drop yawns directly beneath them. A single misstep means certain death. Why did the ancient Ethiopians choose such insanely perilous locations for their places of worship? The answer lies within two elements: survival and spiritual transcendence. Historically, these impenetrable cliffs stood as natural fortresses, shielding Eastern Christians from centuries of foreign invasions. Spiritually, casting aside all safety, confronting the abyss, and mastering one's fear to summit these mountains was the ultimate test of faith. Each upward step was a departure from the secular world, drawing closer to heaven. Standing on the edge of the abyss, as the wind howls through the crevices and the absolute silence of the earth settles in, you come to understand the most perilous place is exactly where the soul finds its deepest peace. Stepping through the narrow cavern thresholds of these cliffside churches, an ancient world unfolds, startlingly intact and vibrantly alive. The air inside carries the very fragrance of time, scents of beeswax candles mingled with parchment pages of ancient goatskin books, handwritten since the 6th and 7th centuries. Having endured thousands of years of isolation from the outside world, the frescoes painted upon the stone walls still preserve the vibrant, pristine colors of saints, apostles, and angels. Thanks to the arid sanctuary of the caverns and the fierce protection of generations of monks, these priceless heritages have remained untouched by the ravages of time. Here, Christianity is not an import from the West. It is woven into the very flesh and blood, the cultural bedrock of the Ethiopian people since the 4th century, long before many European nations had even encountered the faith. Within the dim recesses of these caverns, elderly priests dedicate their entire lives to guarding these spiritual treasures. Their existence is simple and solitary, yet filled with a quiet, profound pride. They are the torchbearers, keeping alive a lighthouse of faith that has never ceased to shine in the heart of East Africa. Architecture may erode, and volcanic stone may weather with the passing of years. But there is one thing in Ethiopia that will never waver: the unyielding faith of its people. Every year, during major holy days such as Timkat or Christmas, tens of thousands of pilgrims from every corner of the nation, young and old alike, journey back to these stone churches. Walking relentlessly for days on end, draped in pristine white shawls, they form a sea of pure white, wrapping around the ancient monoliths. They sing, they pray, and they weep in overwhelming joy. These architectural wonders are no silent archaeological ruins, meant only for tourists to gaze upon and leave behind. They are living, breathing entities, still pulsing with energy and cradling the spiritual life of an entire nation. Faith clings tightly to the sheer cliffs. This phrase does more than merely describe the geographic position of these churches. It stands as a testament to the resilient spirit of the Ethiopian people. Defying the world's prejudices, enduring the tumultuous tides of history, poverty, and war, that very faith stands as unshakable as the Simeon Mountains, as resolute as the cliffs of Tigray, and as deep as the earth of Lalibela. This is an immortal epic etched in stone, where humanity has proven that when faith is boundless, it can move mountains and transform barren rock into a kingdom of the eternal. Should the history of Ethiopia be told as a grand epic, Aksum stands as its most luminous opening chapter. Perched upon the northern highlands, Aksum once reigned as the beating heart of the mighty Aksumite Empire, sovereign among the 4 greatest powers of the ancient world. The ultimate testament to this empire's supreme power lies in the obelisks of Aksum. Imagine monolithic blocks of granite, weighing hundreds of tons and soaring to the height of a 9-story building, intricately sculpted with false doors and windows to mimic multi-tiered towers, then hoisted upright toward the heavens without the aid of any modern machinery. These are no mere royal tombstones, but proud monuments asserting the grandeur of a magnificent civilization. Yet, Aksum is woven of more than just cold stone. It is the most sacred spiritual heart of this nation. According to Ethiopia's millennia-old faith, hidden within the Church of Our Lady Mary of Zion in Aksum lies one of humanity's supreme secrets, the Ark of the Covenant. This holy relic, containing the 10 Commandments of God, was said to be brought from Jerusalem by the legendary King Menelik I, son of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba. Guarded by a single monk who vows never to leave the sanctuary grounds for the rest of his days, the Ark transforms Axum into an inviolable spiritual realm. Here, myth and reality intertwine as one, defying the curiosity of the outside world. Leaving behind the ancient stone spires of Axum, the current of history sweeps us into the 17th century at Gondar, the city dubbed the Camelot of Africa. Perched at an altitude of over 2,000 meters, Gondar emerges like a European fairy tale, rewritten in the very heart of the Dark Continent. The beating heart of Gondar is Fazl Gebi, a monumental royal fortress complex enclosed by a defensive wall nearly 1 kilometer long. Here, Emperor Fasilides and his successors erected fortified stone castles of unparalleled architecture, a magnificent fusion of European Baroque, the intricate carvings of Moorish Islamic design, and the indigenous soul of East African craftsmanship. Gondar was once the epicenter of art, music, and absolute power. Stepping through the moss-covered royal chambers, you can almost catch the echo of thundering hooves and the hushed state councils of kings. And when the Timkat festival arrives, King Fasilides' royal bath is once more filled with holy water, welcoming tens of thousands of believers who gather to dance, resurrecting the proud golden age of the great Solomonic dynasty. Long before the rise of the Aksumite Empire, long before Christianity took root in the sheer cliffs, there existed an Ethiopia far more ancient still. To journey back to these profound origins, we must travel to Yeha, a serene valley cradled amid the rugged peaks of the Tigray region. Yeha is home to the Great Temple, the oldest standing architectural structure in Ethiopia, dating back to the 7th or 8th century BC. Making it nearly 3,000 years old. Built by the Kingdom of Demt, this temple was dedicated to the worship of the moon god, Almuka. What leaves archaeologists and travelers utterly spellbound when standing before Yeha is the transcendent engineering of the ancients. The towering walls were erected from colossal blocks of gray limestone, meticulously polished and fitted together so flawlessly that not a single drop of mortar or binding agent was used. Nearly 3 millennia have passed, through endless upheavals, wars, and natural disasters, yet those very walls still stand defiant against the test of time. Yeha is a living fossil, an assertion etched in stone thousands of years ago, while much of the world was still shrouded in the dawn of primeval chaos. The Ethiopians already possessed a brilliant civilization and an aspiration for immortality, carved deep into the heart of the rock. If history and geography formed the unyielding framework for the island of Ethiopia, It is her people and their distinct culture that breathed into it an immortal soul. The greatest strength allowing this nation to stand resilient against global prejudice was never gunfire, but a softer, more profound power, a relentless adaptability that utterly refused to dissolve. Look at how the Ethiopian people preserve their authentic values amidst the rushing currents of globalization. While the rest of the world consumes fast, industrial coffee, Ethiopians still cherish the jebena buna, a traditional coffee ritual dating back to the 10th century. To them, coffee is never merely a morning pick-me-up. It is a profound philosophy of human connection. Week after week, families and neighbors gather around the fragrant smoke of frankincense, waiting for each rich drop of coffee to flow from the ancient clay jebena pot. Through 3 rounds of serving, accompanied by 3 rounds of conversation, fractures are healed, life stories are shared, and the bonds of humanity are tightened. Defying the tumultuous tides of history, from natural disasters to the encroaching waves of foreign cultures, the Ethiopian people have never severed the sacred bond that ties them to their ancestors. The deep humanity of Ethiopian culture is also beautifully mirrored in the communal platter of injera, a thin, spongy flatbread made from teff grain, unique to these highlands. Ethiopians share a long tradition of communal dining. During a meal, they practice the ritual of gursha, hand-rolling a choice morsel of food and feeding it directly to the person across from them. This simple act stands as the ultimate symbol of love, hospitality, and mutual respect. In this land, no one is left behind, and no one is forced to face adversity alone. The humanistic identity of Ethiopia is, in itself, a grand lesson in survival. They do not shut their doors to the modern world. They embrace it with the mindset of masters. They wear t-shirts and use smartphones, yet they still proudly drape themselves in the white Nutella shawl. Still dance the defiant shoulder-shaking eskesta with absolute pride. And still use the ancient chiseled script of their forefathers to text one another every single day. Ethiopia preserves its identity not by freezing the past, but by transforming it into the very breath of the present. This is why their culture remains vibrant, authentic, and fiercely proud. A humanistic beauty that defies all prejudices of time. Today, Ethiopia is no longer an island closed off to the world. That island is opening its gates. Yet it does so with the mindset of a master of its own destiny. This is the homeland of the premium Arabica coffee that the entire world adores every morning. This is where Lucy was found, the 3.2 million-year-old fossilized ancestor of mankind. A profound reminder to us all that, in one way or another, a part of our originating bloodline traces back to Ethiopia. Overcoming prejudices of poverty, natural disasters, or war, This nation is rising to become one of the fastest growing economies in Africa. Yet, no matter how far modernization takes them, the flame of self-pride and the historical thread tethering them to their past have never been broken. Ethiopia, the isolated island that defies time and prejudice, has no need to become a carbon copy of any nation, east or west. They stand resolute, fiercely proud, and beautifully distinct. The journey through time across this land now comes to a close. Yet the lesson of self-pride and the resilient preservation of identity will endure forever. This is Ethiopia, where time stands still, allowing eternal values to speak.